The 10 best superfoods that will help you lose chest fat, belly fat, and your love handles. And yes, these are gonna target those stubborn areas, and I'm gonna be very specific about how each one of these work in the body, the actual mechanism behind it. But what I'm not gonna do is give you the list of foods that you've seen 700 times, because there's one food here on this list, number 1, that most people eat as a guilty pleasure and they feel bad about it. And the science says it's one of the ones that targets the most fat loss and that you can put in your body. My name is Dr. Michael Diamonds. I am a medical doctor, a pro natural bodybuilder, and the founder of Sculpt by Science, where we have helped thousands of clients transform their physique using science with what I'm about to show you. And if you want to work with me and my team to lose your chest fat, belly fat, or your love handles, my personal picks are going to be 1, number 2, 4, and 7. So let's not waste time and dive straight in. So food number 1. Here's something that most people never hear. Your belly fat, your chest fat, and your love handles is just not a calorie problem. They're actually a hormone problem, specifically a hormone called cortisol. Now, cortisol is a stress hormone. And every time you have a bad night of sleep, maybe a difficult conversation at work, or a work deadline that's eating your life from the inside, your body releases cortisol. This is where it gets interesting. Cortisol has a favorite place to store fat, which is right in the middle of the body, aka your belly, your chest, and your love handles. Now, I want you to think of cortisol like a landlord who only has one property available. And every time stress sends fat looking for somewhere to live, cortisol points it straight to your midsection and says, the room is right there. So if you've been training hard, you're eating well, and all those specific areas are just not bulging, elevated cortisol is very likely the reason behind it. Now, here is why dark chocolate, 85% cocoa, above all, actually does. It's one of the richest sources of a compound called flavonoids. Flavonoids are a plant compound that have one very specific job that matters here. They turn down your cortisol response. They don't turn it off. They just turn it down. It's like turning a dial from 7 back to 3. And when cortisol drops, those stubborn fat cells that have been locked in place start to become more available for your body to actually burn fat. Now, a 4-week trial published in the Journal of Antioxidants gave participants high flavonoid dark chocolate every day, and what they did was measure their cortisol levels. They measured their morning cortisol, and that came down. They measured their during the day cortisol, that came down, just from eating chocolate consistently every day. Now, the 85% dark chocolate matters a lot. Milk chocolate is just not going to help. Anything below 70% is not going to give you the effect we're looking for. The sugar and the dairy and the lower percentage chocolate blocks the flavonoids from doing their job. So the need is the high cocoa content. So you want 20 to 30 grams per day. And that's about 2 to 3 squares. You can have it in the afternoon or maybe after dinner as a way to naturally bring down your stress response before going to bed. Now, do this consistently, and within 2 weeks, you'll notice that your cravings for sweet things become a lot quieter because your cortisol is no longer running the show. Now, before we jump into food number 2, let me ask you guys something. I actually made a top 10 list of superfoods of ones that you wouldn't have thought about. But would you like the all-time top 10 superfoods you should eat? Some of them you will know, but I can dive into the science. Let me know in the comment section down below and say, hey, Dr. Mike, make the all-time top 10 superfoods to lose your chest fat, belly fat, and your love handles look be completely different from this, because I figured you guys want to see completely different foods. And stay with me, because coming up in food number 5, I'm going to show you something you've probably poured onto your salad every week that's one of the most powerful belly fat loss tools. Now, food number 2, and I'm going to be clear about something before we get into this one. I'm not going to be talking about matcha latte from coffee shops loaded with syrup or milk. I'm talking about pure matcha powder into simple tea or blended with water, because the difference matters a ton and more than people realize. Now, matcha is made from grinding the entire green tea leaf into a fine powder. And when you drink regular green tea, you're getting an infusion of the leaf. Now, when you drink matcha, you're actually consuming the whole leaf. Now, this gives you a much higher concentration of a compound called EGCG, epigallocatechin gallate, which is a mouthful. So just think of it as an active fat-burning compound in green tea that makes matcha genuinely worth talking about. So this is what it does. It activates something called fat oxidation, which is your body's process of breaking down stored fat and using it for fuel. And it works together with natural caffeine in matcha in a way neither one can achieve on its own. So think of it like this. EGCG is the engine and caffeine is the accelerator. One without the other will get you moving, but both together are actually burning more fat. Now, there's actually a 12-week double-blind trial and it was published in the Journal of Obesity, and they took 240 adults with high levels of visceral fat and gave one group catechin-rich green tea containing the equivalent of what you get in matcha every day. Now, the other group got a low catechin control drink, no change in diet, no changes in exercise, and the matcha group showed much greater reduction in visceral fat. Get this. They also saw a reduction in their waist circumference and in their body fat overall, just from adding one drink to their day. Now, this is how I want you to use the matcha. We want 1 teaspoon of pure matcha powder whisked into hot water, not boiling, 80 degrees Celsius. Drink it in the morning or 30 minutes before a workout. Don't add milk because the dairy binds to the compounds and it reduces how much your body absorbs. Water only. Do this every morning for 4 weeks and the difference in your energy and your waist circumference will be noticeable. And just a quick reminder, if you guys want me to do another 10 of this list, some of them you will know, but how to incorporate them into your diet, don't forget to leave the video a gentle thumbs up and comment down below, hey Dr. Mike, make the ultimate 10 superfood video and I'll do that video next. Let's move on to the next food. Now, food number 3. This one is the one that most people skip and it's a real mistake. Sardines are one of the most nutritionally dense foods on the planet and nobody in the fitness industry is talking about it. Specifically, here is why the sardines belong on this list. Sardines is the richest source of omega-3 fatty acids that you can eat. Those are those healthy fats. Omega-3s are the type of healthy fat that has the most important job for fat loss, which is reducing chronic inflammation. Inflammation is basically your body's internal alarm system. It's bringing down short-term inflammation and it helps you heal and recover. But when inflammation stays switched on all the time, which happens if you have a poor diet, or maybe you're chronically stressed, you're stressed all the time, or you've been sleeping that 5 to 6 hours for months now, it makes fat loss much harder. Specifically, it promotes the storage of fat around the midsection and your love handles. If you're one of those people you just notice your weight's creeping up, probably one of the reasons. Now, omega-3s from sardines directly switch off those inflammatory signals that drive that process. They also improve your insulin sensitivity. And insulin sensitivity is how efficiently your body responds to insulin, which is the hormone that controls whether your food gets stored as fat or used as fuel. And the better your insulin sensitivity, the more likely your body is to burn what you eat rather than store it. Now, sardines can also give you around 25 grams of protein per 100 grams, which will keep you full. It will help preserve muscle tissue, and the sardines will help you stay in a caloric deficit. You just need 1 can of sardines in spring water 2 to 3 times per week. You can add them into a salad. You can mash them and add them onto a toast. Maybe add a little bit of mustard and lemon, or just have them straight from the tin. It's cheap. They require 0 prep, and the fat loss benefit from consistent omega-3 builds up over time in a way that genuinely will move the needle. This is a must-have for the ladies, especially to bring down your inflammation. But let's move on to the next one. Now, you've probably heard the term probiotics, and you don't really understand what they do or why they matter for fat loss. So here's the short version. Your gut, right, contains trillions, not billions, trillions of gut bacteria, both good and bad. And the balance of those bacteria is what scientists call your gut microbiome. You can just call it your population of bacteria, and they will directly influence how your body stores fat. It will also influence how often you get sick. Now, when the bad bacteria outnumber the good ones, your inflammation goes up, your insulin sensitivity drops, which means your body isn't responding to carbs well and it rather stores it, and your body gets much better storing fat than burning it. Kefir is a fermented dairy drink. It is one of the most potent sources of good bacteria, and you can consume this. this, it contains far more diverse good bacteria than the standard Greek yogurt. And those bacteria restore the microbial balance and keeps inflammation low. It brings your insulin sensitivity high, and it will also help keep your hormones in check. So, Dr. Mike, you said this will help me lose my belly fat. So this is the connection. People with healthier gut microbiomes consistently show lower levels of visceral fat in clinical research. So you need between 150 to 200 milliliters of plain, unsweetened kefir every day, which is what I'm holding in my hand. But in the morning, you can take the kefir, and the best way I can describe it, it's more like a drinkable yogurt. Add this into a blender. You can simply blend it with strawberries and you'll have a strawberry milkshake. You can add it into a normal protein shake, and the good gut bacteria need to stay alive. So don't heat it. Don't mix it with your oats, for example. I just recommend blending it with something and give it 4 weeks. Now, food number 5, as I mentioned earlier, this is one that's probably already in your kitchen, and most people think that it's just a condiment. So here's what it actually does in your body. Apple cider vinegar works because of a compound called acetic acid. And the acetic acid does something very specific that directly targets your belly fat storage. What this does, it slows down your gastric emptying, which means it is just leaving your stomach a lot slower into your small intestine. So it stays in your stomach longer, you'll feel full. And when food moves through slowly, your blood sugar stays more stable after a meal and it won't spike. That also is important because your body won't release a large amount of insulin in response. But by slowing down your gastric emptying, vinegar blunts those spikes before it happens. Less spikes, less insulin, less fat storage. And you can have 1 to 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar. Please dilute it in a glass of water, and you can drink it about 10 to 30 minutes before a meal. But please always dilute it because the acidity of this will damage your teeth. It will burn your esophagus. It's just not going to be a good time. So do this consistently and you'll notice that your hunger after meal drops tremendously. Now, food number 6 has a much higher concentration of fiber called beta glucans. So what's beta glucans, Dr. Mike? Stay with me here. Beta glucan is a type of soluble fiber, meaning it dissolves in water inside of your digestive system, and this beta glucan forms a thick gel as it passes through. And that gel does something very useful. It slows down the absorption of glucose into your bloodstream after a meal, which keeps your blood sugar stable, and it prevents those high insulin spikes, and high insulin will also prevent that high fat storage. It also feeds your gut bacteria, which produce something called short-chain fatty acids as a byproduct. Now, short-chain fatty acids are small signaling molecules that your gut bacteria release during digestion, and one of their main jobs is to tell your body to keep burning fat rather than storing it. So swap out your white rice for pearl barley 2 to 3 times a week. Now, 1 part barley, 2 parts water, 20 minutes, let it simmer. It has a slightly nutty taste. It's genuinely filling, and it keeps your blood sugar far more stable than rice or pasta, same calories. But if you're going to ask me, Dr. Mike, do you take this? No, I don't eat barley. I'll rather have everything else on the list. But this is one that, in case you want to try, I'll definitely put it on this list. Now, food number 7. Turmeric on its own is almost useless for fat loss, and it's something that nobody will tell you, and this is why. Turmeric contains a compound called curcumin, which is a powerful anti-inflammatory. Now, chronic inflammation, as I mentioned with sardines, is one of the main drivers of stubborn fat storage, especially around the midsection. But curcumin has a very low bioavailability on its own. Bioavailability basically means how much of the compound your body can actually absorb when you use it. Now, when you eat turmeric without anything else, your body absorbs almost none of it, and the curcumin just passes through your system. But doing this and adding black pepper, which contains a compound called purpurine, changes everything. Purpurine increases the bioavailability of curcumin by up to 2000%. So always combine them. Half a teaspoon of turmeric with a pinch of black pepper, add it to your food every day, will quietly do its job in the background. And this combination you can add in your scrambled eggs, you can add it to your rice, to your soups, and within a few weeks of using it consistently, you'll start to notice the difference. Now, one of the most underrated appetite regulators on this list, I've said it before, and I'll say it again because it matters, is that walnuts are extremely calorie dense. 1 ounce, which is about 14 halves, is 185 calories. And they're so easy to eat, they're so easy to grab and just snack on. If you do it 3 to 4 times, that can happen without realizing. And during a fat loss phase, I typically tell clients to be careful of the walnuts for that exact reason. Now, the benefits of this is real, but it can get canceled out the moment you overeat them. A small handful, I'm saying 30 grams, 4 to 5 times per week. That's the sweet spot. Now, here is why they earn their place on this list despite the warning. Walnuts contain a combination of the following: the omega-3 fatty acids, the polyphenols, and a compound called alpha-linoleic acid. Together, these compounds activate a region of the brain called the insula, which is responsible for processing hunger signals and making food decisions. When the insula is properly activated, your sense of fullness is stronger, your cravings for sugar and high-fat foods get quieter, and your food decisions throughout the day become noticeably easier to make. So all you need is 30 grams. Please let it be measured. Don't just grab a handful from the bag. That won't work because you're going to gain weight. Now, kimchi is a Korean fermented vegetable, and it's made primarily from cabbage, garlic, ginger, and chili. And it belongs on this list for 2 reasons. The first one is the same one as kefir. It's a fermented food that's packed with diverse beneficial bacteria that can help with your gut health, reduce inflammation, and improve how your body stores fat. But the second is specific just to kimchi. The chili in kimchi contains a compound called capsaicin. Capsaicin is what makes chili hot, and it's been shown to increase something called thermogenesis. Now, thermogenesis is just how your body generates heat. And when your body generates heat, it burns calories to do so. So kimchi simultaneously will improve your gut microbiome and slightly increase your metabolic rate at the same time. 2 mechanisms, 1 food. I recommend 50 to 100 grams as a side dish with your main dish 3 to 4 times per week. You can have this every day. You can find it in most supermarkets. Look for it in the refrigerated health food section. Now, start small if you're not used to it, and you'll get used to the spiciness, and then you can build up from there. Food number 10, pomegranate. It contains a compound called punicalagins. Now, punicalagins, it's a type of antioxidant, and it just helps neutralize damaging inflammatory signals inside the body. And these specific ones are among the most important anti-inflammatory compounds found on all of the foods on the planet. Now, why does this matter for your belly fat, your chest fat, and your love handles? Chronic inflammation, the kind that builds up the stress, the kind that's causing poor sleep, that makes you eat a processed diet, directly promotes this fat storage around your midsection. It keeps your fat cells in this locked state where they resist being released and broken down, even when you're eating in a caloric deficit. Now, those antioxidants work against that by reducing the signals that tell your fat cells to hold on. And pomegranate also has a real effect on insulin sensitivity, making it one of the few fruits that actively support the hormonal environment for fat loss rather than working against it. And I want to be straight with you here because I always am. Most of the strongest evidence for pomegranate fat loss does come from animal studies. Now, human research is promising but still developing, and the anti-inflammatory and insulin sensitivity evidence in humans is solid enough that it does earn its place on this list. Now, I recommend half a pomegranate or a small glass of pure pomegranate juice with no added sugar 3 to 4 times a week. Add the seeds to your salads, add them to a yogurt, or you can just eat it on its own. 4 to 6 weeks of doing this consistently, and voila, you'll start feeling the difference. So there we have it. 10 foods, 3 biological drivers that most people never address through their diet. Start adding 3 to 4 of these consistently, and you'll start noticing the difference within a month. And if you want to take it further, I've built a complete system showing you how to go from 30% body fat all the way to 10%. So watch this video next. It's called the fast and simple way from 30% to 10% body fat. It's right here, but I'll see you in the next one.